And welcome everyone to the Infernal Brotherhood of the Scruffy-looking Nerfers. This is a live streaming video podcast by Star Wars fans for Star Wars fans, and today we're finishing up our review. I guess we're finishing up the trilogy, whatever.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about Lando Calrissian and the StarCave of ThonBoka, or the StarCave of the StarCave, or the ThonBoka of ThonBoka. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
When they explicitly state that that's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's like the first thing I was thinking. It's like, oh, okay, so it's like queso cheese. I fucking hate that term.
I never once thought of it like that. Now I will forever think of it that way. That's funny.
I have problems.
Well, Lando Calrissian and the StarCave of StarCave was published November 12th, 1983, written by L. Neil Smith, the same author of the previous two, and they are all infinitely more connected than the Han Solo trilogy that we had reviewed before this.
Yes.
Which I think is interesting, because I prefer it to be interconnected like this.
Right. I mean, this was like the perfect way to start what we were going to get with Star Wars here in just a short 7 years. So
yeah. Back when it was young, its wiener was hard anytime it looked at a Star Wars booby. That's now we're 40 years on. We need little blue pills and porno to get us up to the same spot.
It's got to be a green lady too. It's All
right, so for a year, Lando Calrissian and his droid companion, has roamed space in the Millennium Falcon, seeking or creating opportunities to turn an easy but not too dishonest credit. And they run across a species of creature they have never encountered before, and until space whales are introduced in Star Wars Rebels, has never even been spoken about.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
So the first chapter, before it was explained what they look like, what did you think they looked like?
I don't know.
So you didn't have an idea?
No, I don't think I did.
So I was under the impression, and spoiler, turns out at the end of the book, it's fucking true. But I was under the impression that it was the same.
Oh, like really?
It was hold on. Okay, so you know what I'm going to say then. Yeah. So I thought it was a fucking Voofy Ra, but like the actual species, which of course, the end of the book, we find out that's the actual fucking species. Yes, he's a droid, but they're a sentient droid species.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's what I thought. Because he's talking to another being, and the other being is understanding, and then at the very end of the chapter, when
I heard that too.
Sorry, I'm getting fucking ghost or some shit. But yeah, when it talks about the beast releasing a bunch of shit for God, why did I not write down his fucking name? Lehesu, right?
Right,
yeah. That's when it's like, oh no. It's the fucking Millennium Falcon he's talking to. Yep. And it's like, wait, when did the Falcon become sentient? And it's later explained, but yeah, that's what I first thought, was that it was a Voofy Ra type creature.
Wow.
So when it turns out to be this massive fucking like space stingray, it's like, that's fucking cool.
But you're not far off, because they did create Voofy Ra. Spoiler alert for the end of this.
Yeah.
I did not pick it up until I think maybe halfway to 3/4 the way through. I was like, oh, wait a second.
So when
clearly made this thing, but it took me a while to get there. You were just on the point. The fact that it shows a form of communication that a droid is able to pick up on, decode. It was very C-3PO to me, so I didn't even think anything of it. I was just like, oh yeah, that's why we made droids.
Oh yeah. Well, and this is also a manner of speech that we've seen time and time again through Legends. Like a lot of sentient species that nobody thought were sentient species would communicate essentially through the Force. That same way, where they wouldn't use words and stuff, but they would show pictures to get the idea of what they're trying to communicate. And that's how a lot of species were discovered as being sentient. So little fun fact that's not a fact anymore, because Disney sucks.
After having read the 2 Star Wars Archives books and knowing how desperately bad George Lucas was to have a flying manta ray species interacting with the heroes. I can't help but feel his presence in this.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, he didn't get it until episode 2, but I feel like we got it in this way before that.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's basically what they were, and just the sheer size of them too.
Yeah.
Like the elders being fucking like, what was it, like 1,000 kilometers or some shit, or like just massive.
Knowing that George had to sign off on this, knowing that, what is his fucking name? The dude who's making stuff, the Ahsoka stuff. Oh, why can't I remember his name? Filoni is such a student of George's. I can't help but think he stole George's thunder with those space whales, because everything those space whales do, these manta rays did.
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah, except, quite frankly, I think these are far more interesting creatures.
Well, and they can create life. Like they can like manufacture and communicate with life on an actual like communicative level, which the space whales could not. And they could travel hyperspace. And they, like they were just like, they could play sabacc, for fuck's sake.
Dude, that was a fucking trip.
It was dope.
I loved that image in my head of them off in space, like just staring at the Falcon, but essentially mimicking like they have a hand of cards on deck. And it's just like, this is the coolest fucking game of sabacc ever.
And knowing how massive the elders are, and so like all Lando is staring at is like a fraction of the bump on an areola of the nipple of the fucking space man. Fucking
it's that
manta
one
ray.
Little stray hair you can never quite pluck out. That's what he's looking at.
And it's like Mount Everest for him. He's like, that's the giant, goddamn. Don't hit it, Luffy Raw, please. No, it was amazing. And the fact that they were like blown away, and he was like, I got these motherfuckers dead to rights. They owe me so much money, and they can manufacture diamonds and gems at whim.
Yeah, that's just them taking a shit.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Oh, you want this corn? Here.
Which is funny, because when you think about it, the StarCave itself, which is in the center of their corner of the galaxy, is made out of precious gems that they produce. So it's like they are literally living in a shit cave. Like their temple essentially is a shit cave.
A gem shit cave.
Fucking love that.
We need to qualify. It's not like little turds.
Yeah, no, it's not like you're
sparkling gems.
Yeah. But yeah, that's their byproduct, is they can take anything in their body, and then that's what comes out.
This was such first of all, it was a natural, like, sort of conclusion to the story that we've been led to learn from 2 novels preceding it. But it's also like this really crazy examination of the possibilities of life in space.
Yeah.
Because we're introduced to this species that not only can exist in the vacuum of space, can hyperspace on their own, they can create like rare like gems and metals and life, we learn. They can play a mean hand of sabacc. They're super intelligent, but they're wild pacifists. And the entire story is hinged around the idea that one of their species, a very young version, but is still massive in size, called Lehesu, runs across the Millennium Falcon randomly as he is exploring the galaxy. And also,
dying.
What's that?
And dying.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, like starving to death.
Yeah, like I love that aspect of
but
it.
They run across the Falcon, and then also run across like some conglomerate naval force. It's not the Empire. It's something similar, different. I don't know.
It's specifically referred to as the Navy. Yeah. So I'm assuming it's the Imperial Navy.
That's what I thought too.
But they never quite clarify it.
I read the synopsis on Wikipedia, and it references them as something slightly different, which made me think, did I miss something? And Centrality Navy is how they refer to them.
Oh, yeah.
A remote independent sector of the outer rim of the galaxy, which I'm not familiar with, and so I didn't know. I just didn't know how to take it. But I also like thought immediately, oh, this is just the Galactic Empire, like a branch, in the outer rim or something. But anyway, it runs across them, and they're immediately like, ooh, puckering up, like there's this massive creature, we must destroy them. And so it follows them to the name of the show, or the thing, ThonBoka, which actually means StarCave, which is the whole joke in the beginning of the StarCave. And so they ostensibly send out some sort of nutrient or weapon to neutralize all sort of life that the creatures survived on, which I still cannot in my mind fathom what it was that they like lived on.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
They explained it numerous times.
Yeah, but still.
And yeah, still, it's like, I don't quite get it.
Oh, that's dope. Chris is playing Sabacc with his son?
Hell yeah.
Why don't you play with us, dick? Jeez.
Right? We need to figure that out.
Son's more important.
Yeah, we all need to get our own decks so that we can play.
I got my own deck. Wait, what do you say? Deck? Either knee or not?
I mean, whatever.
Okay.
Deck, dick, same thing.
Yeah. It changes. I guarantee it changes. Much to the chagrin of my wife. Both of solidity and length, it changes. Much like the different faces of the card.
Exactly.
What if that is like the stand-in? There's like, we need to find some sort of euphemism for a limp dick. Sabacc! And Lando's just like fucking rock hard the whole time. He's like, I don't get what your guys' problem is. I'm a shower. Like, this is how I live my life. And we're just like, but we're white. We have to grow. All right. I love the idea that it's fear that's the instigation of the overarching story. And then enter our hero, Lando Calrissian and Vufi Ra, who are arguably the best team up since, I don't know, Turner and Hooch. Lethal Weapon. I don't know, choose your buddy cop team up. But they go in and they're like, we can help you out. We can hook it up. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to take you for some cash first. We can definitely work this thing.
That's the great thing is he's still so like, well, I mean, we got to get paid.
Yeah. Oh,
and I mean, to be fair, in his defense, like the vitamin paste, I think that's what it was that he was hauling. Like, that's what he ended up giving to La Jesus. So he's got to make his money back.
He was like metering it out in like doses. Because like once they met him initially, there was like, oh, here's a little enjoy. And then later on, they did another like, shake it out sort of.
Right. They just gave him like barrels to hold on to with his tentacles.
It was just weird. I didn't really fully understand it. I don't need to, but it was just weird.
Not at all. That's just the thing that's fucking me up is trying to actually, like, I have a good, I feel like it's a good image of what the Oswaft were, but every time they describe him like caressing the ship or holding something with one of his tentacles, it's just like, all right, so it's a stingray octopus, maybe? I don't know. That's some fucking eldritch
I imagine like a stingray with like tail of like octopus or something like that, because I don't know if I take like the cuttlefish approach where it's just sort of like nudging up against you, or if it is like a tentacle thing. I like that we still question it, and I don't know if that speaks to the author's poor description or just our willingness to just go along. In either case, I'm okay with it.
I was going to say, I'm sure it's a little A and B.
Yeah, it's all good. But I love that Lando's like, look, I can help you out with this thing. We just need to, we need to figure out where this Centrality Navy is, and then we'll come up with something. And Lehesu's like, all right, cool. I'm going to pop smoke back home, and we'll see you there. Check you later. And then Lando literally goes ship to ship on this blockade of Centrality Navy.
That
taking money and taking
motherfucker.
names.
That was baller as fuck.
It's dope.
Like, he's just literally going capital ship to capital ship. Like, hey guys, I'm selling cigars and ice cream.
Yeah.
You guys want to play some Sabacc while I'm here? And it's like he's literally going through the blockade, ship by ship, just fucking playing games with them.
So cool.
Oh my god! And I loved the final ship when they actually get through the blockade. Like that shit was great. Yeah. Like, oh hey guys, you want some ice cream? We're gonna fuck ton of ice cream. Oh man, we've been dying for it. Yeah, come aboard. Hey, you're going too far. You're going too far. Ah, we want the ice cream. Ah,
we'll kill you. Give us the ice cream.
Fucking shoots him, and then like the rear half of like the false half of the Millennium Falcon explodes, and they bounce into hyperspace to get in there. So that's fucking genius.
So the Lando, Vufi-Ra, Millennium Falcon fake out the Centrality Navy by faking an explosion so that they can in fact get into the ThonBoka. But that's only half the story. That's not even arguably half. That's like a third of the story. The other third is two parts. So we have primarily Rokur Gepta, who's like meets up with the group that was trying to murder Vufi-Ra, convinced that he is an organic entity that destroyed their civilization, and that the architect that he was working with was an innocent bystander. And so Rokur Gepta is like, oh, you guys hate the same guys I hate? Well, let's get together and like hate them together, and like hopefully we can like fuck this dude up. And then he also simultaneously hires the archaeologist that worked with, like, very coincidentally, like this whole thing is very coincidence based, but he hires the same architect that destroyed the other group that he's grouping up with, but he like secretly planned it for Vufi-Ra to be blamed for it. And so this archaeologist is working actively against not just Lando Calrissian, but also Rokur Gepta, trying to like stop him from like enacting his like world, like global domination or whatever it is. And I love that none of this has anything to do with the Galactic Empire.
Right. That is the fantastic thing. Like literally none of it.
Why it's the so fuck can't we get a story like this? Just a crazy sci-fi exploration. Like it's already written. Just adapt it, Disney. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Like this feels every bit Star Wars.
Yeah.
Sans the core cast, sans Skywalkers. There's no Sith, there's no Jedi, there's no Galactic Empire, there's no Rebellion.
Yeah.
But this feels more Star Wars than the last little bit of Star Wars shit they've released.
It's so goddamn good. It's so good. It's what Star Wars was originally supposed to be. That sort of pulp sci-fi. And it's so good. Like we've reviewed some insane story beats. Even including like adaptations of the film scripts, which were insane, which we of course changed and stuff. But this is the heart of Star Wars, like at the very core of it. And I think even the people that say and argue, Disney execs specifically, that we need to divorce ourselves from the Skywalker saga, they can't seem to divorce their own minds from what is Star Wars if not for the Skywalker saga. And all you have to do is look at the Han Solo trilogy and the Lando Calrissian trilogy and see, oh yeah, that's what Star Wars is.
Yeah, man. And like even when we get into later novels where it becomes like the golden age of Star Wars, it's still like a lot of the shit with the side characters like Han, Lando, has nothing to do with anything that we know about.
I mean, we get fantastic. Some amazing stories with like an actual version of the Chiss. We get amazing stories with like the fucking Yuuzhan Vong, and we get amazing stories with the future. Even beyond that has nothing to do with the Emperor or Vader or any of that shit. Like there's so much to be mined, and they're so just totally ignoring it. In any case, I was really enjoying this the whole way through. It was just so different.
I loved it. Like this one definitely was my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah.
But I loved how they lined up everything at the end. Because you're talking about like the archaeologist kind of just being there or whatever. But the anthropologist was set up in the beginning, and he was sent. I'm trying to remember because I just finished this like last night. I should remember this
too. Like years preceding it.
Yeah, no, he was a part of everything.
Yeah.
Like it's like he changed his entire appearance to get away with the destruction of the system. Like he like just
a real villain.
Yeah, like straight up. Like he fucking did bone grafts to make himself taller and lankier. Just like this
Like the
motherfucker was like,
pain.
everybody in the galaxy wants me dead. I'm going to change me and I'm going to do this. And it's just, it's great because it goes in between each of the groups. Cause essentially we have, Lando and Vuvi, and then we have the Oshwafts, and then we've got, the Gupta guy. And then God, I thought I wrote it down.
Klin Shanga was the fleet admiral of the Renatasian.
Yeah, Renatasa. That's what I was looking at. So there's those guys, and then we've got the Navy. So we're getting. I mean, aside without the Navy, we didn't really get too much of a backstory with them. It was just they were there for, they were the means to the point. But like everybody else, we got backstories. Like a lot of backstory, even more backstory than we got in the other books. And the thing that I just can't get over with this book is this was only 120 pages.
Yeah.
This felt bigger than the other two combined.
Yeah.
It was just insane the amount of detail that they could add into this.
Honestly, I think it's because we read the other two that we had all that information that it sort of built up. So when they said that Odefa Okonuwet was in fact the original associate professor and archaeologist, and then they just sort of dropped a couple things about how he changed his thing. We already have history with him.
Yeah.
Even though it's not personal history, it's story history. And so we just sort of build that idea of him in our mind. We're like, oh, it's so much richer now. But I think that it shows the strength of the author's storytelling technique. He knew he had a trilogy to tell, and he was going to slow build the reveals until the end. And while I don't necessarily think the climactic moment in this story was all that climactic, I do like that he took his time with it. And sort of we were along for the ride. So ultimately, Lando's only knowledge in all of this is that he's out here trying to help the Oswaft people, or entities, or whatever the fuck they are, beings. And he's trying to negotiate some sort of peace between the Centrality Navy and them. And so he comes up with this incredible plan because the Oswaft, they can hyperspace. And what they do is if they do swift jumps, they leave a version of themselves visually. And this is a great play in sci-fi.
Actually. So sorry, I just read this last night, this part specifically. So you're getting it a little bit wrong.
Shoot.
Oh God, did I actually write it down? No, I didn't. Okay, so essentially what happens is he goes to the elders and is like, hey guys, I know how we can fuck with these guys to, get you out of here and do the destruction, to, have them destroy themselves. So you guys as a passive creature don't actually have to do anything. You're probably not going to like it. And then they're like, we don't like this is bullshit. So essentially what they're doing is right before they jump to hyperspace, they're shitting themselves essentially. And then that makes up, it tricks the scanners and shit. It holds the exact shape.
Right.
So essentially the Navy's like, it's still there. And they go to blast it. But because they're set up right next to each other, they're fucking taking out each shit, each other essentially.
Yeah.
That shit was so goddamn fun. I was laughing an idiot when I found that out.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did the takeaway of the fart or the poop.
Yeah, man. I wish I had the book with me right now, but yeah, that was it. Essentially, they were either they were excreting stuff. I like to think it's shitting because that's funnier to me. But yeah, it's that's what they were doing.
It was going super colorful in either case, and it worked wonderfully. And what I loved so much about this is that it took Lando Calrissian, this fucking swashbuckling, gambling, fucking ne'er-do-well, to convince this entity, this being culture that has existed for infinitely longer than the human species.
Yeah.
That is capable of infinite greater, sort of expressions and experiences. It took him to tell them, for them to finally change their ways and be like, all right, you know what? Maybe survival is important. Maybe we should fight for survival. Maybe that's something we should explore. And it was his sacrifice of willing to go on their behalf and fight so many of those shithead Renatasian Confederation people and Rokur Gepta people that were trying to fuck him up on behalf of them. I mean, also there's a little self-interest involved.
Yeah.
That they then turned the corner and realized, okay, we're going to keep a portion of our people hidden, like he suggested, and we're going to take the others and we're going to go to fucking war. It was dope. It reminded me of like Ender's Game or something. Like I really liked it. It was very sci-fi.
Yeah. 100%. Especially like when the battle first starts, because it starts accidentally. So one of the bigger people, they took a small contingent of other of the Oswives, and they went up to the lead ship, and they're trying to talk with him, like, "Hey, man, let's not be assholes. Let's chill." Blah blah blah, and they couldn't get through. Like they were constantly just arguing and arguing. So the lead one finally got just exhausted and yelled at them to try to be overheard. But because of the way that they communicate, it ended up being like essentially a laser focused microwave that just decimated the entire ship.
Destroyed it.
Yeah.
It was
That's
awesome.
like, that's fucking great.
And then they ended up using that as the weapon, just like screaming at their enemy. And it's just like this sonic. I was always imagining the sound of Boba Fett's when he was like running away from Obi-Wan Kenobi, that like, I don't know, like drone bomb or whatever the fuck it was. Just like, I was imagining that sound when they were like blowing ships up and shit. It was so epic. Like this is a space battle. This could be put on screen, and I don't know, people who like tangentially know Star Wars would be like, that's not Star Wars. But like real fans would be like, that's fucking dope. That is Star Wars type shit.
Yeah, 100%.
So goddamn cool. Chris has a great question that I kind of want to address. Han and Chewie, which Star Wars character would have been worthy sidekick for Lando? And I feel like we've got it in every Lando iteration.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Ed, I can't think of a single sidekick that he's had that wasn't perfect.
Yeah. When we first met him, Lobot, super trusted friend, security droid, human droid hybrid, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
What was the droid's name in Solo?
L3, I think.
L3, was that it?
Or no.
I can't remember what it was, to be quite honest. But whatever it was, I bought it in the film, and I thought it was
L3. Yeah, L3,
great.
37. Yeah.
Just great. And then in this, Vufi Ra's dope as fuck.
Vufi Ra's amazing. Like
he's great.
When I thought he died, I was pissed. I almost threw my fucking book.
I thought he did die.
Yeah. Same with Lehesu.
Yeah.
When I thought he died, I was like, this is bullshit. Why? I fucking knew they were going to do this. This is so stupid. And then, of course, he's fine.
Yeah. That closing line. Oh, goddamn.
Oh, yeah.
Stop calling me master. Well, why didn't you say something?
God damn it. That was the only way to end this fucking trilogy.
It was amazing.
Oh, yeah. Why didn't you say something before? And it's like, that's all it is 3 books of him saying, don't call me fucking master.
It's so funny. And then we get the flip view of Odefa, and he's like, he never called me master once. That was his only job. And I'm just like, wait, what? Who the fuck? What? What's the story with Vufi Ra? He wouldn't call you master, and he can't stop calling. Like, he was just, it's like a weird quirk or a tick, or he's just fucking with people.
He was literally just fucking with them.
So good. So
like, and especially when we find out, like at the end, like it just makes perfect sense. Like he is a sentient being.
Yeah.
Like an act, like not just a droid, but he's like he's essentially a cyborg.
Yeah.
Of sorts.
Yeah.
Because that's basically like the caterpillar phase of turning into a butterfly for that species.
If you think of Jean-Claude Van Damme's Cyborg,
which I do all the time.
Which is what we do. This is just before that. No, I loved it because we got sort of like 3/4 of the way through Vufi Ra breaking his programming after he'd talked to Lehesu, and it had already alluded that these species were his creators. Because even Odefa was asking, like, who the hell created this thing? Like, I don't even know where he came from. Like, and we were sort of given that idea that, well, you create things in your own image, but I'm sitting here going, yeah, but we have like mouse droids and like R2 units and like gonk droids that they don't look like anything like humans. So that's not true.
Yeah.
Like we build things for convenience and function, not to mimic a species look. C-3PO is literally the only fucking type. I mean, we had others, but for my argument,
Yeah.
C-3PO is the only one, and he kept getting blown up because he was annoying as fuck. So, yeah, whatever. I loved the reveal of Vufi Ra because I personally did not see it coming, and I loved the moment when I thought he was dead because I did feel something.
Oh,
For
yeah.
a fucking robot. Like, it took me 3 films to really feel something for R2-D2, even though he continuously proved to be a hero in every single film. And then the prequels just, like, nth degree proved it. Like, droids are the best. The goddamn best. Why can't we get a Vufi Ra on screen? Like, that'd be dope. Just as, like, an Easter egg in the background. Hook it up.
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
Arms detaching, grabbing people by the necks and shit. So there's a point in this where it was clear the Oswaft were going to decimate the Navy. And Rokur, so bent, the Sorcerer of Tund, was so bent, and the reveal of what he is, so bent on revenge on Calrissian. He just wanted to fucking destroy him to any degree. And then Odefa is like, hey, all I got to do is kill the Sorcerer and Calrissian, and all my problems are solved. So he is looking to, because, Vufi Ra's with Calrissian, and so his goal is to kill them, and then Klin Shanga's goal is to kill Vufi Ra until he realizes, oh shit, he's not the bad guy.
I recognize that voice.
And that means Odefa's the bad motherfucker. And so he changes alliance, and it's this crazy final moment where Rokur is like, you and me, Calrissian, eh? We go toes, like Rocky IV or some shit. You and me, we fuck each other up. If you fucking beat me, then I will lead the people away. And then he tells his, like, secondhand man, like, hey, no matter what fucking happens, destroy everyone. Like,
right. And I specifically wrote this down. He's a bit of a dick because 100%. Essentially I'm paraphrasing him, but if you step out of line, you're going to get tortured to death. Your family's going to get enslaved, and I'm going to rape your space dog.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like,
yeah.
Oh, you don't want to obey orders? Well, this is what's going to happen. And then as soon as he's done saying that shit, he goes to his assistant and is like, oh yeah, go ahead and round up those 6 people and go ahead and throw them in the fucking airlock. And then their third in command is now in charge of the ships now.
Yeah,
it's like, God damn.
Just for context for people watching this, one dude asked Rokur Gepta, hey, so is this the best idea? And he took every commander and every commander's second and had them thrown out a fucking airlock to prove a point. That's the dick this dude is.
Yeah, man.
So much worse than Vader.
Yeah, definitely.
Fuck.
Better at least kill you himself.
Yeah, and just you, and then promote the next dude. So at least you have a little bit of like, I earned this, like in your own head.
Yeah.
So fucked up. But then when we finally get the final fight with Rokur Gepta and Calrissian in his like vacuum power suit, I thought was just ridiculous in my head.
Oh yeah, it was asinine, but it worked for him. Like specifically that character, I could see him having a suit like that.
He modified it so he could smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
In his space life suit.
Like, as you do. I mean, that just makes sense. I mean, to be fair, like, okay, here's the thing.
Absurd.
I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I don't care about smoking anymore. I mean, occasional cigar, of course, is fun.
Yeah,
we know we enjoy that.
Yeah.
If I thought I was going to die and I had the option, I'd probably be smoking a fucking cigarette or a cigar as I'm actively going to potentially die. Just because it's like, I don't have to worry about cancer now.
That's true. I mean, you got a point. I would definitely want to be inebriated. Like I would like to be out of my mind in something.
Yeah, I there's
100%.
Contingencies involved for me for moments like that.
I have a modified spacesuit in the garage.
Oh yeah, man, it's
such
out
an
there.
occasion.
Yeah. I'm not an idiot.
I just loved it so much because as Lando is getting his ass kicked, he's also getting the upper hand on Rokur. And then we get Odefa coming in and just showing his ass and fucking everyone up. And then ultimately it's revealed after 3 novellas of wondering who the fuck are these Sorcerers of Tund? What the fuck is this? Like, they even go to his home planet, which he destroyed, like burnt to death. So there's nothing there except for him and this elaborate construction of a palace or whatever. So we have no fucking idea what this thing is. And then the final reveal is like a little worm turd.
Yep, that was great because, you know, he's got his 5-shot.
What the fuck?
He's already shot off 3 rounds, so he's almost out. And as soon as that shit's gone, he's fucking dead. And yeah, he like blasts him in the chest a couple of times, but because of his makeup, it just goes through. He's like, and then shoots him in the fucking ankle, and that's what tears the suit. And apparently, this omnipotent being can't survive the vacuum of space. And Lando just squeezes it, and then it pops in his hand. Yeah, and that's it.
Little worm creature just.
It was very. I know I use this a lot with a lot of reviews, but this is straight up Idle Hands ending.
Gosh, I don't remember Idle Hands that well.
So basically, what happens is they get the hand set aside, and he has the dagger to kill him, and he sticks it, and instead of like some big awesome thing, it's just like. Turns into dust, and that's it.
Right.
This was very much
that was very much like 100%. Totally anticlimactic. And I was just like, who is this massive, powerful sorcerer? Oh, it's a fucking worm, and his being was an illusion? Fuck you.
Right.
Like, what? Kind of bullshit. Insane. But I still like it. Like, it was stupid, and I was disappointed, but I still like it. I don't know why. I had such a good time reading this novel. And it just took me on this weird like journey that I'm okay with like weird little moments being underwhelming because overall it gave me what I wanted, an overarching, incredibly like dramatic Star Wars story that I enjoyed. And the ending was fucking perfect. We thought Vufira was fucking dead. We thought that Lehesu was dead. And then the final chapter opens with them playing Sabacc.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? Huh? Who? What? No, what? It was
I was pretty confused too. Admittedly, I was, of course, my usual state of being at that time.
Inspired?
Yes, inspired and medicated legally. So I actually went back through and like kind of skimmed the chapter before. I'm like, what the fuck? What did it? And then it's like, oh, yeah, obviously. Okay, dumbass. Yeah, that was funny as shit.
I loved it so much. We got to see Vufira fixing up the Falcon. We got to see a sort of like Lando prepping for, I need to change my life. I need to get some property. I need to be an official businessman. Yeah. So before he loses the Millennium Falcon Han Solo, we get the idea that he wants a Bespin type place. And like he's sort of just had the adventures. He's done. He wants to make an honest name of himself in some form or another. And it felt like a natural progression to me as the character. Like, I didn't know what to expect from a sort of prequel trilogy for Lando before we see him in Cloud City. But I think this is a pretty goddamn perfect one.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine maybe a little more sex, a little more women.
Yeah. I mean, we learned that it's the power of the mustache.
Yeah.
The first book, he didn't have it. So
it's pretty potent.
Yeah.
That's what I try to... Who wants a mustache ride? Little Super Troopers.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. Overall, I think this trilogy was a lot of fun. Probably not my favorite of all the Star Wars stories, but I really enjoyed it like the whole time.
This is one that I'll definitely revisit at some point just because it was just that. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite moment when you were reading this? Not the series, but just this novella?
Specifically this book. Just like the fucking battles between the ships and the
that was epic.
The Oswats. Like specifically when the first one, I think it was the other, was the one that destroyed the ship by screaming. It's like that was like metal as fuck. Cool. I loved that.
It was very heavy metal. Like the magazine.
Yeah, straight up. And it was it also reminded me of like the only cool part of The Last Jet, or was it Last Jedi? What fuck?
I don't know.
The fuck is the second one? I don't remember.
Yeah, that was
anymore.
Last Jedi.
Was it the Last
Yeah.
Jedi? Yeah. So where that one dumb fuck decides, oh, I can't just autopilot a ship into another ship. I have to fly it into a ship myself. Like I got that kind of scene, like where it's just silent and just pure destruction. Oh god, it was so good.
I loved it.
Loved that.
So cool. Yeah, I think because those were like the moments where I couldn't put it down. I was just like, yes, keep going. This is a great Star Wars, because every Star Wars film has that sort of third act battle that you just, or maybe final act battle where you're just like loving it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this felt like. We had this like ultimate battle. We didn't really have that in the first two. They had like conflicts, but it wasn't like this massive space battle that was so synonymous with Star Wars. This had that. Even the Han Solo ones didn't have that. So I was like in the moment, just running right through it, reading, just like so excited, like where is this fucking story going? Okay. And I think probably for me the most memorable, most as I reflect on this story, my favorite parts are when my expectations were completely subverted in the best of ways that Rian Johnson could probably learn a thing or two about. Where we thought Vufira was dead. Mm-hmm. We thought like to reveal that the big bad guy was a little worm creature.
Yeah, fantastic.
To know that this ancient species that can hyperspace travel on their own and destroy matter with their voices and create matter out of thought can play Sabacc and love it. Like, I was just like, this is the fucking greatest thing ever. This is like totally a love story for Star Wars fans. This is like, hey, I'm going to give you 100%. Everything you want. You don't even know you want it, but fucking feast your eyes. It was the best.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it.
Well, then we even got like I don't remember what the hell it was ever called, or if it was even called anything, but the green stuff. Like the shit that destroys planets and shit.
Oh, that the enzyme or whatever it was that the Navy released?
No, not the Navy.
Oh, the Rokur Gepta.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I just loved seeing just like, he's all menacing in the secret part of a ship, like, I'm making this. And then he puts it away. And then we get just like this teeny tiny microscopic part just comes out of a ship and just lightly touches one of the bigger Oshwafts, and just it disintegrates into nothing. And it's just like, oh my God, I want to see a fucking like golf ball size of that hit a planet.
Oh, dude. Emperor Palpatine would just come. He would never stop coming.
So no, Chris, I don't think he did any more Star Wars novels.
No, he didn't.
But he did write a fucking manifesto for Second Amendment Libertarian Party.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, dude, this dude was like batshit. Like, and it's funny too because I found this out towards the end of the book. Like, I dropped it because I was falling asleep, and at the end it says he's a proud party member of the Libertarian Second Amendment movement or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? So I looked it up, and yeah, he straight up like the one of the pieces that he wrote, I think during this or shortly after this, was like this huge manifesto about gun rights and shit.
Wow.
It's like yes. So with the Rustarians or whatever the fuck they were, it's like that makes sense. That is straight up like his political ideals on paper.
Yeah. Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
All right. You never know. Yeah. People tuck their freak in.
Yeah.
You just never know where it's coming from. I like the author. I don't think these were particularly like brilliantly written, but they were fun, and I really love them as pulp Star Wars novels. And I would highly recommend them to anyone that likes Star Wars, because this is not only the second trilogy ever made after the original trilogy, but I guess the third trilogy made after the original trilogy, but the second novel trilogy made after the original trilogy. But it also like sort of fleshes out a galaxy that was very young and was not fully fleshed out at the time. Mm-hmm. And we get to know about Lando Calrissian, who we only saw in like 1.5 films. And he's like an integral part of what it means to be a Star Wars hero.
Yeah.
And he's more of a scoundrel than Han Solo. He's more dangerous and is sort of like on the edge than any other fucking ne'er-do-well in the galaxy we've met thus far. He can be as straightforward a fucking businessman as anyone running Bespin until you fucking, threaten his livelihood, and then he'll turn on his friends. He'll turn on anyone for, on a dime. But then he feels fucking sort of guilted into it, and he's going to go save their asses afterward. Like,
wearing their clothes.
I love Lando Calrissian so much more after having read this.
Yeah, definitely.
God damn, and I'm so frustrated that we're not going to get that Solo 2. Or we're probably not going to get a Lando film or a Lando series or anything. It's like
probably anything good ever again.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real.
At least we have these.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's like anytime I'm watching one of the newer series, it's just always like, why do I even fucking bother? This doesn't make me happy. It just makes me miserable. And then we get a chance to do something like this, and it's like, oh yeah, that's why I'm still around.
Yeah. And you know what? The best is yet to come.
Oh my!
Meaning us coming on our cameras, because
yes.
the Zahn film books are next.
Yep.
And sweet motherfucking hell.
The dawn of the golden age of Star Wars.
Oh, God damn it. This is the best era.
So fucking good.
It gets weird and cool and fucking awesome.
And this is what made me be go from being a Star Wars fan to a fucking sycophant. It went from being like, oh yeah, I like these movies, they're fun, to being like full on obsessed. It ended up leading me to get into the fucking 501st and all that shit. Like, these books, God, I can't wait to get into them.
Hell yeah. Well, it's going to be a good time. I hope all of you are with us in wanting to celebrate these old school EU novels. And if you haven't read these before, or you haven't read them in a while, they don't take very long. Hook it up. Like, just do yourself a favor, really, is what it is.
Yeah.
Find a little joy in your life, You're worth it. Do it, for fuck's sake. All right. Anything else on this?
I think we got it.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in, both live and chat or after the fact. We invite you to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell to get notified about our upcoming videos. Also, you can become a member of the Infernal Brotherhoods, pick up our merch that we got out there. So until the Infernal Brotherhoods convene again, my fellow scruffy-looking Nerf herders, may the Force be with you.
My knock muffins.
I'd eat one.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine it probably being a lot like a kid. I dig it.
So much fun. Oh.
Yeah.